Hello, and welcome to the National PTA Candidate Speeches and Queries. I am Teresa Williams, co-chair of the National PTA Elections Committee. In the recordings that follow, you will hear speeches and candidate query responses from candidates for National PTA elected directors at large. The candidates were recorded during the week of April 17th through the 19th. The video was edited to place candidates in a random order established prior to the recording. Candidates were recorded live. No candidate was given the questions in advance, and no candidate was given an opportunity to repeat their speech or query responses. In addition, candidates did not hear other candidates' speeches or query responses during the recording process. During the recording process, members of the election committee acted as timekeepers, and candidates were able to watch a timer as they spoke. Time started when a candidate began to speak, and when time expired, the parliamentarian signaled the candidate to stop speaking. To maintain our policy on impartiality, Mary Remsen, National PTA's parliamentarian, moderated the speeches and queries.
Rachel Burke, you are a candidate for elected director at large. You have 2 minutes. You may begin now.
I'm Rachel Burke, and I'm honored to be a slated candidate for National PTA's elected director at large. My PTA journey as an adult started 17 years ago. The next year, I remember vividly attending my state convention and getting that light bulb gotcha moment. I walked into a workshop where PTA's mission and our passion for advocacy was discussed, and that's when I knew that I had found my place. Advocacy for children and youth is my passion. In the past decade, I have spent countless hours talking to legislators, policymakers, and the media while building partnerships and offering testimony or white papers on proposed legislation. I believe I would be an asset in continuing this work on the national level. Most importantly, I believe that PTA exists to serve and protect all children, including those in foster care, who are institutionalized, whose parents are members of the military, who identify as LGBTQIA+, or those with legal status issues. As a board member, I promise to remember this obligation and make it the lens through which I make decisions and vote. I believe in the principles of purpose-driven leadership and boardsmanship, and that is how we can best recover and begin to grow again as a national organization. We must work to place purpose before organization, making sure that our mission and those who we serve are placed before ourselves. We must have respect for our ecosystem while acknowledging that PTA can both positively and negatively impact our surrounding ecosystem. We must always have an equity mindset. We must commit to advancing equitable outcomes while being mindful to not reinforce systemic inequities. And we must only speak with authorized voice and power. Our power and voice must be authorized by those who are impacted by the things that we do, and not those who make the decisions. Thank you for your time, and I would appreciate your full support. Thank you.
Thank you. The candidate will answer 3 queries and have 75 seconds to respond to each. Here is your question. How do you plan to work together with the officers to fulfill the goals that have been set by the strategic plan? You may respond.
So I plan to work with officers by remembering that we as a board make decisions as a whole, and that the officers are part of that discussion and communication. I think it's very important that we all know where we come from and what our purposes and beliefs are, and I think that, and I hope, that as a member of the board of directors, those who are sitting around that table all have the same purposes and beliefs and all have the same end goal, to do the good that we are put there to do. Therefore, I think it is through honest communication, it is through talking out the difficult things and not ignoring them, it is through putting together plans A, B, C, D, and sometimes E and F to make sure that we have contingencies, whether they are financial or whether they are based by how votes go on Capitol Hill or even at a convention. I really do, in the end, believe that making sure that the mission and those who we served are kept first and foremost in everyone's mind together with honest communication is the best way that we as a board would be able to work with the officers in putting forth and making sure that we are able to meet our strategic goals.
Thank you. Your next query. How do you deal with contentious issues? You may respond.
So jokingly, people who know would say not necessarily well, though that is not really true. I'm a big communicator. I think that if you are going to have contention, it's important that everyone put their cards on the table. Now, mind you, that conversation has to be respectful. Putting one's cards on the table does not mean yelling or being snide or sarcastic or calling names. It's a conversation about what your differences in viewpoint are while trying to find a compromise that is in the middle. But the other side of that coin is that compromise is not always possible. As an organization, we have values, we have a mission. We cannot compromise on those two things. And so if there's a contentious issue, we need to look through the lens of those values while using communication to be able to go through and get through those difficult times. I will say my graduate degree is in diplomacy. As much as I personally dislike conflict, I've spent a lot of years studying it, both on a large and small scale. And so I do believe that I have the tools to help others work through it as well as myself. Thank you.
Thank you. Your final query. Resources have dried up. Share 2 key areas on how we support the constituent associations and sustain their needs. You may respond.
I believe that the first way that we support our constituent organizations and sustain their needs is by listening to what those are. I think a lot of times, National PTA, as well as other national organizations, have made a lot of assumptions as to what their state or constituent organizations are looking for without necessarily talking directly to them. We have NCAC, which is a way of getting that voice heard, but often that's on a 2-year delay, and I don't think that is particularly helpful. I think it's important to have those open and honest conversations with our constituent organizations to find out in which ways we can be most supportive, and then make sure that we put our resources into those things rather than things that we as a national organization believe that our constituent organizations should want and need. I also believe that it's important, in order to be able to do that we look for partnerships and that we look for sponsorships, but that at the same time, we must absolutely maintain those bottom lines of our values and our mission, so that we make sure that we are not entering into those in a way that would jeopardize our values.
Thank you for being with us this evening. Stacy Molinette, you are a candidate for elected director at large. You will speak for 2 minutes. You may begin.
As the mother of 5 children, I have been involved in PTA as a parent since my oldest daughter was in kindergarten 25 years ago. I was involved in PTA before that when I was in high school as a student board member. I have a passion for PTA and I love being involved. I love organizing activities to help children and adults learn. I love helping and supporting parents and teachers. While serving as a council president, a region director, a region treasurer, and a state treasurer, and even a state president, I have loved to mentor, support, train, and answer questions for local and state PTA leaders. Advocating for our kids is one of the core reasons that I PTA. I love to help people become better leaders and learn how to more effectively advocate and serve. I love to help people understand why it is so important to join PTA. We are a membership organization, and it is so important to help parents and teachers understand that they belong in PTA. It is so important to reach out and include all parents. We need all parents to be a part of PTA. We all need the connections, the support, and the voice that PTA gives us. We all have something to give. We all have something to learn. As a member of the National PTA Board of Directors, I want to represent you and listen to you and learn about the needs of your PTA and your state PTA. As a state president, I know how important it is to have support from National PTA. I want to be that support that you need. I want to bring resources and programs to your PTAs. I want to bring technology solutions to help leaders learn so that all of us can be better connected. I have the time, the commitment, and the energy to help move PTA forward. My name is Stacy Molinette, and I respectfully ask you for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. The candidate will answer 3 queries and have 75 seconds to respond to each. Here is your question. How do you plan to work together with the officers to fulfill the goals that have been set by the strategic plan? You may respond.
I will work with the officers to help further the strategic plan for PTA by listening, by reading the materials that are provided, by thinking of solutions, by reaching out to other people and asking for help, for ideas, to get input from all kinds of people, to get the ideas that we need to move this association forward, and work hard. I'm ready to work hard and do what is needed to help further all the programs and the things that need to happen in order to help PTA succeed.
Thank you. Your next query. How do you deal with contentious issues? You may respond.
Okay. With contentious issues, it's important to listen. It's important to take time to speak to the one person or the several people that you need to listen and learn. It's important to have a conversation, and to really do some research to find out all the sides. There's always more than one side to every situation, and don't just listen to the one side, but ask multiple people so you have all the sides in order to help, and then have a discussion. Restate what you've heard them say and listen while they talk, and then come to a place of understanding, a place of agreement, and be able to understand both sides. You don't have to necessarily come to the same final decision, but to listen so that you both understand each other, and then you can find a common purpose to move forward with together. Thank you.
Thank you. Your final query. Resources have dried up. Share 2 key areas on how we support the constituent associations and sustain their needs. You may respond.
National PTA provides a lot of great programs. In the last few years, they have provided the Thrive program, for instance, that provides a technology solution for training so that we can reach people where they are. With the pandemic, we learned a lot about how to use technology more effectively for learning and for contacting and for connecting with people. And there are solutions out there that we still haven't even discovered yet, that we just need to keep working towards. The training that local PTA leaders need and that state PTA leaders need can be found through these technology solutions. And Thrive is one of those great ways that people can have the resources that they need. We can keep meeting and not overlook new solutions. Thank you.
Sergio Chavez, you are a candidate for elected director at large. You will speak for 2 minutes. You may begin.
Good evening. Hello, everybody. My name is Sergio Chavez. I am running for or rerunning for the board of directors. Speech, I don't really believe in them. I just want to be straight, direct, and to the point. I enjoy serving my time as a member of the board of directors. I got the chance to be part of the governance committee. I would love to continue and be a part of it again for this session. That's about it. Thank you. I don't believe in big speeches and a bunch of telling everybody else. I just real direct and to the point. Thank you.
Thank you. The candidate will answer 3 queries and have 75 seconds to respond to each. Here is your question. How do you plan to work together with the officers to fulfill the goals that have been set by the strategic plan? You may respond.
Well, I would plan to work with everybody with the officers as I've done. The thing about working with other people, not everybody always has the same ideas, but it's able to be working with everybody that had different ideas to be able to come to the common setting that we're trying to get with our strategic planning. Thank you.
Thank you. Your next query. How do you deal with contentious issues? You may respond.
Okay, then I'm blanking this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Your final query. Resources have dried up. Share 2 key areas on how we support the constituent associations and sustain their needs. You may respond.
Can you repeat the question? Or are you not allowed to do that all?
Yes, I can. Resources have dried up. Share 2 key areas on how we support constituent associations and sustain their needs. You may respond.
If our resource, I'm having difficult with this question. Whether it's the way you're saying is, you're telling me that all of our resources have dried up completely. Is this a hypothetical? Or is this talking about what it really is right now? So it all depends on how this question is. If our resources are dried up, then what is the situation of the question that we have? We're not there right now. What we need to do is be able to raise our dues that we need to in order to continue this association that is struggling and landing on not even on one leg that we're hanging on to. I don't. Oh, I totally bombed this one. Can I stop? Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you for being with us this evening. Dana Platon, you are a candidate for the elected director at large. You will speak for 2 minutes. You may begin.
Hi, my name is Dana Platon, and I am humbled and honored to be a slated candidate for the National PTA Board of Directors. When my son first started kindergarten, I was so excited to join PTA. And as I became more involved in the building, the special education PTA, the council, region, and ultimately on the state board, I've learned so much about myself as a leader and as a person. I'm constantly learning and growing. My self-reflection is important to me so that I can constantly continue to work on my leadership skills and my communication skills. I recently finished my 2-year term as the president of New York State PTA. Together with a team beside me, we helped our local units navigate the challenges and obstacles that were brought on by the pandemic, and we did our very best to guide them through to the very end and through that very difficult time. Diversity was very intentional for me during my presidency. We made sure that we communicated clearly with our members. We had great strides with training and with our programming, and diversity, inclusion, and equity
was so important. We made sure that our members knew that regardless of race, gender identification, sexual orientation, income, zip code, ethnicity, there was nothing that was going to stop us from representing every child with one voice. It's so important that we advocate for the education and welfare and safety for all children and youth. I'm most proud in New York that we just charted the first ever in the nation LGBTQ plus PTSA. It's a statewide PTSA that has already made a significant impact on students and their families. I am dedicated and passionate to PTA and to the mission and values of PTA. I am grateful for the experiences that I've had in New York as a servant leader, and I feel confident that I can bring all that experience to the National PTA Board of Directors. I feel extremely ready and to take on the role.
The candidate will answer 3 queries and have 75 seconds to respond to each. Here is your question. How do you plan to work together with the officers to fulfill the goals that have been set by the strategic plan? You may respond.
So it's so important that we work together as a team, that we collaborate, even if we all have different ideas coming to the table, that we are respectful of one another, that we can agree to disagree and explain why we feel perhaps a certain way or why we are confident in something that we would love to see go forward. But you have to be open to everybody who has a seat at the table. It's really important that you are listening to each other, that you are respecting one another, and that you understand where everybody comes from. We all have a different lens because of where we come from and the way that, our belief system. So for me, it's all about respect and collaboration.
Thank you. Your next query. How do you deal with contentious issues? You may respond.
Well, I think that it's all about being respectful of people's opinions, because we want to make sure that they all feel heard. It doesn't help to be adversaries and to clash, but at the same time, a contentious issue would be a real, it could be a real a negative situation, and we never want to see that happen. So I would feel that you would need to have a conversation, so open communication, give and take, listen to what someone has to say, make sure that they listen and they hear what you have to say, and really explain where you're coming from and perhaps the direction that we need to go in, regardless of the fact that a particular issue is contentious.
Thank you. Your final query. Resources have dried up. Share 2 key areas on how we support the constituent associations and sustain their needs. You may respond.
Okay, so 2 instances that I can think of in New York would be having our field support board member. We had one who checked in with us regularly and who I could go to when I had questions. He was open to listening to others from our state, other leaders from our executive committee. And so he was able to either guide us through something or give advice about something. He also was very helpful with keeping me as a president on a timeline. And so I appreciated that very much. And I know that that was an area that National PTA was able to, save some funds on for some fiscal responsibility. And so I appreciated that very much. I think also that there is social media and there are the emails that come out, lots of information. I think that with all that people have at their fingertips between the website and the emails and social media, that communication is out there, questions can be answered. I've always found that every single person in the National PTA office is really helpful.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us this evening. Vidalia Sturdivant, you are a candidate for elected director at large. You will have 2 minutes. You may begin.
Why should you vote for Fidelia Sturdivant? Because I am an advocate for quality education and school equity. Quality education should not be for some children, depending on the child's zip code, native language, skin color, religion, physical and academic ability or disability. Quality education is a guaranteed right for all of our children in America. Now, you may say to me, what role does school equity play in quality education? And I want to share with you the comments or the definition by author Elena Aguilar. She defines school equity as every child gets what he or she needs in our schools every day in order to have the skills and the tools that he or she needs to pursue whatever he or she wants after leaving our schools to live a fulfilling life. School equity is about outcome and experiences for every child every day. As an advocate for quality education and school equity, I am committed to using my voice as a parent, my skills as an educator, and my God-given talents to make sure that my 49.5 million children enrolled in pre-K through grade 12 in our public schools receive the education they deserve. The quality education that will make sure that they are productive citizens. We as PTA leaders are change agents. Our purpose is to ensure that the National PTA's mission, vision, and goals are implemented effectively, resulting in quality and equitable.
The candidate will answer 3 queries and have 75 seconds to respond to each. Here is your question. How do you plan to work together with the officers to fulfill the goals that have been set by the strategic plan? You may respond.
What I would like to do is to be an active member of the board. That means that I would make sure that I familiarize myself with policies and the strategic plan to make sure that I am at the table, not just physically, but in terms of bringing ideas, suggestions, but most of all, being an active listener so that I can contribute. I believe that my expertise as a educator, but more important than that, I think my moral compass to ensure that the children receive what they need, to work with parents, to be inclusive. I think those are the key things that I bring to the organization. I'm committed, not just because I'm seeking this position, but I've always been committed. I work with our state PTA, I work with local, I work with any parent who's interested. This week, I'll be giving a presentation on positive parenting skills. So it's not about organization, it's about commitment. And I look forward to taking whatever skills I have to be a part of the National PTA Association. Thank you.
Thank you. Your next query. How do you deal with contentious issues? You may respond.
Well, the first thing I would try to do is to make sure that it is understood, to make sure that there is a solid understanding of what the problem is. Let's just look at the perimeters of it, because I believe knowledge is power. So I want to make sure that, first of all, I'll lay it out in a way that I feel that would not be threatening or intimidating. It's important that people feel comfortable when it comes to an issue that has to be discussed that could create some stress. And it happens. We live in that type of society. So what I would do is to make sure that everyone understands that they have a voice, to make sure that no one can come to the meeting and be judgmental. Okay, we're here to work together. Everyone has a voice. Everyone should contribute, and everyone should be respected That's very important. And a sense of belonging. That's most important to me, that when you come and you're part of an organization, no matter what the topic is, that person has the right to voice his or her opinion, and I have the right to respect that person and to listen actively. Thank you.
Thank you. Your final query. Resources have dried up. Share 2 key areas on how we support the constituent associations and sustain their needs. You may respond.
First of all, I do believe that there are resources available. What we have to do as an organization is to research those resources and to provide that information. We need to have a reservoir of possible grants that we can share and ideas and activities. I think that they're there, but we have to look for them. We have to take a deep dive to find them. For example, I know in New Jersey, there is a group called Jersey Sustainable. They provide grants, but if you didn't know that, you wouldn't know that. So you would have to do the research, and you have to let the organization know that, hey, I'm here to help you. That's what National is about. I'm here to support your needs. Resources, let's go to the table. Let's look, let's research, let's share. Hey, what's going on in that district? What's going on in that state? Let's make, you know what? There's nothing wrong with copycatting if it works. So we share in education, we share all the time. So what you have to do is see what's working in other states and other organizations and bring it back so that those resources will be available for our use to help our children and families. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us this evening. Jeff Price, you are a candidate for elected director at large. You will have 2 minutes. You may begin.
Hello, my name is Jeff Price, and I am a candidate for the National PTA Board of Directors. My PTA leadership experience started like most of yours, the day my son Parker walked into his first classroom and started kindergarten. To say that I was nervous is an understatement. I was nervous because I was sending my only child into the great unknown, and I was nervous because I didn't know how he would be treated by the other kids, or even the teachers, once he learned that he had 2 dads. My husband and I joined PTA to make sure our son was safe. Fortunately, everything turned out great for us, and many of the parents and teachers we've met along the way have turned out to be lifelong friends. Because I was on campus so much, I caught the attention of the PTA president, who asked if I was interested in serving in the next year's board. The next thing I knew, I was on that board, and then I was the president, and then I was on council and district leadership, and then on to California State PTA Board of Directors, and then the National PTA Board of Directors. I can't believe how fast time has flown by. As a current member of the National PTA Board of Directors, I have had the opportunity to work with some amazing servant leaders to rebuild our organization as we continue to recover from the COVID pandemic. As is normal when working with a group of people, we all don't see things the same way. For the past 2 years, I have spoken up for the things I believe in. I have been a truth teller, even when it wasn't popular. And I have tried to hold our board accountable so that we were addressing the needs of our members. Even though we've accomplished a lot, there is still so much more work to be done to make sure every child's potential becomes their reality. Joining the PTA was one of the best things I've ever done. It has given me the opportunity to learn and develop my skills to be a better leader and parent. It has also given me the pleasure of helping and working with thousands of our PTA folks from all of PTA's 54 congresses. Thank you for your time, and I humbly ask for your vote.
Thank you. The candidate will answer 3 queries and have 75 seconds to respond to each. Here is your question. How do you plan to work together with the officers to fulfill the goals that have been set by the strategic plan? You may respond.
As I've done for the past 2 years, I have gotten along with my fellow board members and our officers. As I said in my statement, I have been a truth teller, and when I didn't believe that we were going the right direction, I've spoken up and made my views known. In fact, many times I've been in the minority when the vote's been taken. That as always, and as a member of the board of directors, I have stood by that vote, even when I didn't agree, and I've never spoken against what was decided. It's important that we show our association that we're all united in our mission and that we're all in this for the betterment of our children in the United States and for all families. So as I've done, I will always continue to tell the truth. I will give my opinion, and I will always back up my opinions with the facts. I'm an attorney in my normal day life. That's what I do in court every day. I'll always defend my position and always try to seek that common middle ground. Thank you.
Thank you. Your next query. How do you deal with contentious issues? You may respond.
Oh, that's a good one. I try to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I try to be as open and as open-minded as I can so that I can understand other people's perspective. There have been times where I have felt a little beat up on, and I have made that very aware. Not to make anyone feel badly, but to learn and to grow. Again, like I said, we all have different ideas and we come from different places. The best thing I can do is tell you where I come from and what my expectations are from people. And it's a way to build that cohesion that's so very important. So yeah, I don't hold things in. I tell people when I feel like I've been offended or if I felt like I wasn't listened to. And I do the same. I'm always open to listening to other people, especially if they felt like I've wronged them in any way. So open and honest communication.
Thank you. Your final query. Resources have dried up. Share 2 key areas on how we support the constituent associations and sustain their needs. You may respond.
Staff has done a great job this term in finding partnerships and sponsors for various things we do through PTA. I hope that we continue with that resource development, looking for those non-dues revenues to be put into the coffers, because that really has helped us out during this really bad time with COVID. So that would be the first thing. The second thing is, I know that a plan may be in the works if our dues increase does go through, that we might be bringing NSRs back, the National Service Reps, which I think is a good idea to a point. However, I think that there are many leaders throughout our system that would be more than willing to help if we ask them with a sister state or an area near them. And I think that if we put some investment into building those types of relationships, much like mentor programs with different state leaders, I think that would be helpful. I think that there's various ways that we can accomplish that goal. What I'm very concerned about is having people go in, build these places up, and then leave.
Thank you for being with us this evening. Chris Elliott, you are a candidate for elected director at large. You will speak for 2 minutes. You may begin.
My name is Chris Elliott. I want to take a minute and ask you something. Why? Why are you a part of PTA? We all know what we do is to help make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. We all know how we are able to make this possible. We make this possible by advocating and working together to grow our membership and stand up for those who can't on behalf of all children. But my question to you is why? Why do you do what you do in PTA? Why do you as local leaders, state leaders, and even national leaders volunteer to make sure every child has a voice, even when oftentimes you are faced with the challenges of declining membership and the decline of volunteers? Why do you continue to do what you do? Once we all know our why, then you will know your purpose in PTA and why we have been around for over 125 years. We can't begin to address the declining of membership or how PTA is seen unless we all know our why. And our why is not just our mission statement. Our why has to be personal and it has to be unique, because that's what makes us PTA strong. I was told once, people don't buy what you do or how you do it. They buy why you do it. We as PTA are all comfortable in buying into our slogan of every child, one voice, but we all must understand why we chose PTA. I hope you will join me as we make this organization sustainable for the next generation of leaders that are just beginning to understand their own why. If we as PTA don't understand why we each do what we do, then why are we here? Let's continue to be the change makers by electing new young leaders that are ready to work with all of you and be a part of the why in PTA. Thank you.
Thank you. The candidate will answer 3 queries and have 75 seconds to respond to each. Here is your question. How do you plan to work together with the officers to fulfill the goals that have been set by the strategic plan? You may respond.
Absolutely. It goes back to part of my speech that I talked about commitment and understanding our why and why we're a part of PTA. I grew up in PTA as a young member and worked in multiple different states and at national on the legislative committee as well. And one of the goals is to work with everyone, no matter your background and where you come from. We are committed to our mission. We are committed to making sure that all children are served. And I think that goes to the fact that one of our things is collaboration. We need to collaborate with each other. We need to work together to one common goal. One thing I've been most proudest of that I've helped to move forward over my time in PTA so far is our growth in mission and membership. We have seen a decline in membership lately, but we have to continue to focus on the goal and making sure that we are speaking up for all children as one voice and as one PTA. And if we can continue to do that, we're going to be able to work together, no matter how large or how small our organization is, to move toward a common goal as one team. Thank you.
Thank you. Your next query. How do you deal with contentious issues? You may respond.
How do I deal with contentious issues? I'm an educator. I deal with contentious issues on a daily basis between students and staff and teachers. And it's all about being there as a team. You're a team. No one is ahead of another. You work together. No matter what your role is, how small or how large, being able to find common ground and work together is how you move your organization or what you're doing forward. And I've been proud that as a young educator to be able to sponsor that and work together with my students, whether it be as part of PTA or as a teacher. I teach my students that, you don't have to always agree on everything, but being able to work together as a team for your common goal and making sure you see it through. You may not hit every step and every milestone that you want to, but as long as at the end of the day, as PTA, as students, you look back and that you know that you have done your job and worked together, that is what matters. And if we're able to do that, you can have differing views. That's the important part, that you're a team, you collaborate, and you work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Your final query. Resources have dried up. Share 2 key areas on how we support the constituent associations and sustain their needs. You may respond.
Again, in my speech, I spoke about, our commitment to our mission. And I did speak about the decline of membership and our resources and having declined over the last few years. One thing I hit on in my speech that I really want to make clear is that we have to, at National PTA, be able to look back to our states and local units and truly understand what they're going through. Because in order for National PTA to succeed, our states have to succeed. And our states won't succeed without our local units. And as someone who has been at the local, state, and now national level, I have seen firsthand that we don't always take into consideration things at the local level at national, and we must look there first. We have to be able to find solutions there, and it will trickle up. Second, we have to show that we are all in it for the common good for students. We all have to show that we are there for every child. And if we can do that, we are going to move forward as an organization, even if we don't have the resources that we need. These are two things that I hope to work on as a member of the board. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us this evening. Stephen Rudy, you are a candidate for elected director at large. You will have 2 minutes. You may begin.
My name is Steve Rudy. I'm a proud PTA dad. I've been blessed to be a father for 7 children who allowed me to adopt them. They are my world and brought me to PTA 13 years ago. I've worked as a volunteer in the youth program for the last 35 years in 5 different states. These states included New York, Kentucky, Ohio, and Idaho. The Whitney Houston song says the best. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us on how it used to be. The song then goes on to say, everyone is searching for a hero. I want to be our children's PTA hero. Right now, our education system and children are under attack. We have declines in school safety, challenges in technology and education for all schools, low government funding for schools, stress and pressure from society are causing more teachers to leave the profession every day. Our colleges and universities are seeing declines in enrollment for people wanting to become teachers. Our books are being banned in our libraries. Subjects like critical race theory are being questioned. Our own LGBTQ youth are experiencing stigma and discrimination every day. Our children at school need the support of PTA now more than ever before. We need to stand together, shoulder to shoulder, to support our children and our education system. When we stand alone, we are one voice. When we stand shoulder to shoulder, we are many voices for many children. This is our power and our strength. We are now entering the digital revolution. We need to be forward thinkers like our founding mothers. We helped pave the way for this revolution. We must remember the past and the skills it has taught us, but we must now prepare for the future. We need to adapt to trends and directions of the new generations. I want to make a difference. I want to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. Thank you.
Thank you. The candidate will answer 3 queries and have 75 seconds to respond to each. Here is your question. How do you plan to work together with the officers to fulfill the goals that have been set by the strategic plan? You may respond.
I believe as a group, we are a team, and our strategic plan is our game plan. Together, we must learn to follow the directions of this plan to better grow and strengthen the PTA organization. It is the plan that has been laid out by our members.
Thank you. Your next query. How do you deal with contentious issues? You may respond.
In dealing with contentious issues, I find out that it's the best way to sit back and listen to what is being said. It's better sometimes to listen more than to speak. In my personal experience, I've found out that we can cover a lot more by having the ability to listen to what someone has to say without interruption. And this does help relieve contention and stress in people and help one to come together with one another. Thank you.
Thank you. Your final query. Resources have dried up. Share 2 key areas on how we support the constituent associations and sustain their needs. You may respond.
One thing that we do as a national organization is we go to the point where we recreate instead of finding ways to implement and improve what we already have in place. I think one thing that we could do to help better us is to follow the example of what we've seen some of our states have done. One thing I think would be helpful if we focus more on regional trainings and less on national. I think that will give us the ability to allow more members to attend their areas by keeping costs down because we'll be able to use smaller venues and The expense of travels will allow more states with lower finances to send more people to these events. We've seen this on many scales with different organizations like unions and things like that, very similar to our organization. And I think it would definitely benefit ours to follow the same example that many of our states by dividing our country into regions to strengthen them in off years, which would in turn cut cost. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us this evening. Angie Gonzalez Carver, you are a candidate for elected director at large. You will speak for 2 minutes. You may begin.
Hi, I'm Angie Gonzalez Carver. I'm a multimillionaire, not in dollars and cents, but in working with children and families for over 30 years. My husband Rodney and I wanted our 2 children, Adrian and Danny, to get the best public education. I investigated programs to help navigate our school system. PTA had the best programs. I worked with other parents to get PTA in our schools. By getting families involved in PTA programs like Reflections, it gave us all a purpose to join and help. I made a goal to not only join PTA, but to become New Mexico PTA president. As New Mexico PTA president, I invested a great deal of time in our diverse rural communities as well as my own urban city. I listened to parents that didn't always know how to get involved in their child's education. Together, we worked to find our powerful community voice. Together, we advocated for student success. I believe we should be making a firm commitment to equitable student success. All our programs and events should aim to prepare our students to lead, change, and inspire their communities and chosen professions. PTA's mission and strategic plan states that accountability, collaboration, commitment, diversity, and respect are keys to PTA's vision. Seeking candidates from underrepresented, diverse areas is a must to build membership and leadership for the next PTA. Sometimes we get caught up in the competition that we forget the larger purpose, to have an impact on the students and communities we serve. Along the way, we get to see the best of ourselves and forge lifelong friendships through advocacy. I'm a strong advocate for education and a lifetime member of PTA. My name is Angie Gonzalez Carver, multimillionaire. Thank you.
Thank you. The candidate will answer 3 queries and have 75 seconds to respond to each. Here is your question. How do you plan to work together with the officers to fulfill the goals that have been set by the strategic plan? You may respond.
We all should always be working together, just to make sure that it's the plan goes into effect and helps the children, helps the families. I plan on working with everybody, regardless of our differences. Everybody has an opinion, and I have to listen. My plan is to listen and to make sure that I understand where everybody is coming from. And hopefully we will all get together and have at least a consensus. Thank you.
Thank you. Your next query. How do you deal with contentious issues? You may respond.
Again, contentious issues are, it's a reality. But listening to every side of the position is important, regardless of whether I agree or disagree. I always feel that we should always be making it about the families, the children, what is best for them. And if I disagree with it, again, that's in my heart, that's what's the way it should be. But I still need to, again, listen and collaborate with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Your final query. Resources have dried up. Share 2 key areas on how we support the constituent associations and sustain their needs. You may respond.
We need to. I feel that we need to get out more technical information, like sending out emails, text, whatever it is, to help with the resources. If someone really needs help, then we really need to be helping them. However, sometimes it's just pointing them in the right direction of where they can find information. Our constituents, there's always something going on. So we always, again, I feel that just listening to them is one of the most important things. And then from there, going into help. Again, the resources are hard, but helping them as best we can with what little resources we have, and directing them, and maybe suggesting other things rather than all our resources. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us this evening. Abdul Akbar, you are a candidate for elected director at large. You will speak for 2 minutes. You may begin.
Ni hao, namaste, hola, bonjour, assalamu alaikum, and greetings in the 6 most spoken languages in the world from DeKalb County, Georgia. Each of these languages are spoken by the children of our nation. This is PTA's membership. My name is Abdul Akbar, and I have an honor to be the candidate for the National PTA Board of Directors. As a resident of DeKalb County, our students are from 180 countries, speaking as many as 140 languages. This is where I currently work as a Region 2 council member. I've served from the local, county, district, and state level all the way to the National PTA. On my first assignment as a PTA officer, I went to every school in my high school cluster and met with the PTA membership and officer to see the state of the PTA units. At the end of the school year, I provided the units with my contact information and set up a regional meeting. At that meeting, I invited speakers from the school system to listen to their concerns. Officers exchanged their contact information, and they were able to communicate across the year. Soon, membership rose across local PTA units, and more effective services were delivered to the families we serve. We need to increase our public presence. We should encourage local PTA units to appear at local Board of Education meetings. We should encourage state PTA boards to have meetings with the state superintendent, governor, as well as state representatives. When elected, I can assure you I will be your voice at the table. I want us to work together to help expand PTA membership so the PTA will continue to help our students and have a better future. My name is Abdul Akbar, and although I'm the last candidate on the ballot, I will put your needs first by being your voice in the National PTA.
Thank you. The candidate will answer 3 queries and have 75 seconds to respond to each. Here is your question. How do you plan to work together with the officers to fulfill the goals that have been set by the strategic plan? You may respond.
The strategic plan addresses diversity, culture, and advocacy. These are aspects I've always had as a PTA member. I currently work with a PTA unit, and I know the value of teamwork. It's more important that we pull together as a collective than we try and do things on an individual level. I intend to work across the board with all spectrum of cultures, beliefs, and opinions. It's important that we are inclusive to have a total success as a PTA association.
Thank you. Your next query. How do you deal with contentious issues? You may respond.
As the saying goes, it's always good to make lemonade out of lemons. The most important thing is that things that we may consider contentious may have the opposite side of a coin. It is important that we hear all sides of an issue and a diverse range of opinions. At that point, it is necessary that we come to a consensus that where everyone may not get what they want, but as a joint association, we are able to come out with a positive outcome for the success of our families, our students, and schools across the nation.
Thank you. Your final query. Resources have dried up. Share 2 key areas on how we support the constituent associations and sustain their needs. You may respond.
One of the most important things is we need to build partnerships. We need to build partnerships with other nonprofits, and we need to build partnerships with companies and the corporate community. It's important to let them know that the success of their students will eventually lead them to have successful employees and successful leaders of their companies. By bringing this understanding to the larger corporate world, we can begin to hopefully raise funds so that we can expand our programs and expand our advocacy to schools and students and families across our country.
Thank you for being with us this evening.